Well, hello friends. In today's video, we are going to do something a little bit different. It's going to be a crafting video, but not quite the same type of crafting video that maybe you have seen in the past. My friend Carrie sent me a link to a craft kit that she had seen on Amazon, and because she knows I like to do crafts, she knows I like to do things with miniatures, and the link that she sent me was actually for a greenhouse, and I thought it was absolutely adorable. And I was looking at it, and you know how it is on Amazon. You look at an item, and then they give you suggested items, and then you look at those suggested items, and it just you kind of go down a rabbit hole. Well, I ended up seeing this set called the Book Nook kit, and there's actually a website, the Book Nook, I think it's booknook.com, I can't remember, I'll link it below, where you can get all kinds of these different kits. Well, on the actual website, they're pretty expensive, and I found this one, like I said, I found this one on Amazon. It was a lot cheaper, same exact kit, about half the price. Now, of course, on Amazon, you don't get nearly the selection, and I may wind up going back on the Book Nook website and ordering another one of these, depending on how I like this, because there's a whole series of these. And so anyway, I thought today we would do an unboxing of this, and I'll try to put it together and we'll see how this goes. It's supposed to be easy. There's the difficulty level, and it says you can assemble it in 2 to 4 hours. Well, obviously this isn't going to be a 4-hour video, so I will probably skip some things and speed some things up. But let's go ahead and unbox this and see what we can find here. It says it's for children, or for ages 14 plus. So I'm hoping I'm able to do this without too much difficulty. I'm not a super technical person. So looks like it comes, it's available in all different countries, it looks like. Okay, this one is called the Owl Bookstore. Of course, you would know that that's the one I would be interested in. And this is the instruction book, and it tells you step by step how to do things. So we'll be looking at that. This is the accessories kit, because this thing will light up. Now, the only thing I was reading, it does not come with the batteries, which I have some AAA batteries here. And in some cases you need glue, which is not included. So I thought I would try this and see, hopefully that works. And then here's all of the pieces. And there's some stickers. And then I'm not really sure what this is. I think it's supposed to represent the glass in the windows, but we will see. And then this is just an inspection sticker, I think. So let me go ahead and get all of this stuff. Well, I don't think I need to unwrap that quite yet. Let me see what the first step is on this thing. All right, step 1, before assembling, please check the LED lights work properly. Make sure to test if the light is working properly by following these few steps. All right, connect the wire port of the LED light and the wire port of the touch sensor panel to the corresponding port of the battery compartment. Insert 2 AAA batteries Tap the touch sensor panel. If the light does not work properly, please reconnect wire port and test again. All right, let me see if I can do that. This is the wire port for the light, and then this is the wire port for the touch panel. And so if I touch this and the light didn't come on, then I would know I did something wrong, but it worked. So touching it, on, off, it works. So I'm going to set this aside and we'll move on to step 2. So here are all the parts. They're made out of wood and they are numbered and lettered pretty clearly. So the first thing I need to find is I need to find C9 and C14. Here's C, B, let's see, where's C? Oh, here's C9. And it said that these are kind of fragile, so you got to be a little bit careful. I can get C9 out of there. There we go, C9. And a lot of these pieces are supposed to just kind of snap together. And C14. Here's C14 right here. All right, I went off camera there for a minute just to try to figure this out. And so this is C14, these are C9, and I had to use a little hammer and just pound them in gently. And so now I've got C16 and C10, and these go together like this. And this is this part where you're going to need to use a little bit of glue. So I'm just going to use a brush so that I don't get too much glue on. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of this piece. Just goes right up here. You can kind of see how it's like a puzzle and it fits right on top. And that glue just holds it in place. And then this, if you can't tell, we're making a clock. And this pendulum just goes right in there. Fits right in that spot. I'm going to put the glue on the back of the pendulum. And then this is the face of the clock, and it fits right over the top. So you just want to put glue on that part and not on the weights. These are the weights. If you have a grandfather clock, you know what I'm talking about. It keeps time with a pulley weight type system. We have a grandfather clock, and it used to be my mother-in-law's, and then when she passed away, and then after my father-in-law passed away, in the will, my husband was willed the grandfather clock, which I was very happy about because I've always wanted a grandfather clock. And this glue will dry clear, so there's that. That was pretty easy. I'll have to say my first reaction to these instructions are they're not super clear. I am a visual person, but I enjoy a little bit of written text too. So it's kind of been a turn the camera off, study this for a little bit, try to figure out what they're talking about, and then come on and show you. So the next step, we're on to step 3. I need C11 and C13. Here's C11 and here's C13. These were C21, and these are actually just little tools to help get the pieces out, the small pieces, because you want to be very gentle. It's made out of like a pressed board. It is technically wood, but it's not solid wood. And you definitely don't want to break it. So you just kind of have to wiggle. And they sent a emery board, like if these little connecting spots are a little rough, you just sand it down. And then it makes putting the pieces together a little bit easier. All right, so you know this is a bookstore, so you gotta make some books. So we've got these stickers. There's 11 different book titles here. We have Judas, Marco Polo, what is that? Macbeth, the Decameron, Tamburlaine the Great, Venus and Adonis, Divine Comedy, Della Sphere, The Origins of the Species, Pocket Pharmaceutical Book, and The Prince. Most of these I've never heard of. They look like old books, I think, which is what the point is. So these are all stickers, and what you need to do, what I need to do, is punch these out. These are the little books. There's 11 of them. And then you take a sticker and you line it up and wrap it around. Stick it on here. There you have a book. A tiny little book. So now I have to do that 10 more times. Alright, now these are books as well. I'm going to cut this. These things down here I'll need later on. I don't need those right now. These are kind of like, they call them origami books. So let me cut these out, and then we fold them, and then we'll have to paste the cover on. And these are actually stickers too. So once you get that initial fold, pull the back off, and then you fold it again. And they stick to themselves, but then it'll look like a book. And I'm going to do this off the camera so I can do it a little bit neater. And then here's the cover, and it's also a sticker. And then you stick that on. This is a little bit nerve-wracking. I guess it's my perfectionism coming out. There we go. So then you've got a book that opens. And it's got pages. And that's cute. All right, I'm going to do this other one off camera, and then we'll be back to do step 5. All right, so here are my 2 origami books. Those are over here in a pile with the rest of my finished steps. Okay, now we're on to step 5, and it looks like we're putting together a bookcase. So I need C6, D3, and let's do that first. C6 and D3. I have to say, sometimes some of these pieces are not easy to get out. All right, so let me look this over, and then I'll bring you back when I'm putting this together. So now we're making the front of the bookcase with the actual, like, where the books will actually go with the ledge. So you needed these 3 little pieces, and then these 3 little pieces. And you put this in there, and that's the little ledge. And then those go to the front of the bookcase, like that. Isn't that the most adorable thing you've ever seen? That is so cute. And I have to mention that when I am tapping it with this hammer, I am really just tapping it very lightly. Some of the pieces you can just snap them together with your fingers and they go in quite easily. But since I have this problem with my thumb, I'm trying to save my fingers, and I don't have a whole lot of hand strength. So I've just been utilizing the hammer a little bit more than maybe you may not need to. So now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take 9 of these little books, not the origami ones, but 9 of the other. We have 11, but I'm going to use 9 of them. And you use some glue, and you put 3 books on each shelf. I just went up and took a little lunch break, and I was looking ahead in my instructions, and I realized I did something wrong. I wasn't supposed to glue the books that I had made with the stickers on the bookshelf. I was supposed to use these. Ugh. So I wondered why I was using only 9 out of the 11. What I think's going to and it's too late now. I can't salvage these. I can't get these off of here. So I don't think it's really going to make that big of a difference, because this is a bookstore and there's going to be books everywhere, and I think I'll be able to use these where I was supposed to use these. So I don't think it's going to be a tragedy. I think it'll be okay. But I could just kick myself because, oh my goodness, I didn't even notice where it said right there that it was D16. Those books were D16. I was just looking at the titles on the bookshelf, and they're the same titles as those other books. So, anyway, it's time to move on to step 7. And so I'm going to need B6, C3, B19, and B25. B6 is right there. B19 right here. B25 right here. Okay. Oh, there's a dog whining upstairs. I better go find out what's going on. All right, it was Bo went outside. He'll probably be barking in a few minutes, putting back in. So I've got C3, which is like this little ledge thing. There's B19, which is like a little vase of flowers, and it goes right in there. See, that one snapped in real easily. And then this is B25, which is a tiny little, like an easel looking thing. And it goes in there. Some of these pieces are so tiny. So that's in there. I'm just going to tap it just gently. And then on this little easel thing, you glue this B6, which is a picture. It's supposed to be like a photo or a painting, an oil painting. And it just glues right on there. And then we just kind of do this same similar thing with step 8 using B24, B26, and C2. And it looks like B26 is like a vintage typewriter. And B24, what's B24? B24 is, looks like a little sculpture. Dogs are carrying on about something. All right, the next step, step 9, is where I would have normally used these books that I did at the beginning that I goofed up on. But as I'm looking at it, I don't think it's going to matter because you're stacking them together. So you're not going to see them anyway. So what I'll do is, thankfully I had 2 left. I can put, because you need 5 of them glued together, and then 2 stacked on top of each other. So I can put 3 of these with this, and then these 2 can stack on top of each other. The only difference is you're gonna not be able to see. There won't be any binding. You know what I'm saying? It'll just look like solid wood. But if you look at this one that has the sticker binding, and then you look at this one who doesn't, you can't really tell the difference. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work on step 9. That's what I'm going to do first. And I'm also going to need this, which looks like an old radio. I'm sorry, you're blurry. There we go. There's this piece that looks like an old radio. See the little radio, the stack of books. Now, like I said before, that glue will dry clear, so you won't be able to see that. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm kicking around the idea of possibly painting the bindings of these books that I goofed up. Haven't decided yet. I don't know that it's really going to make that big of a difference, but I'm just kicking myself because I made that silly mistake. I hate that. I hate when I make mistakes. So anyway, I'm going to go on now to step 10, and that is going to be 2 more books stacked together and a potted plant on a shelf. So we're going on to step 11, and that's where we're going to take all of these prior steps that we just did. They're actually shelves on a little bookshelf or a little curio cabinet, and now we're going to put these all together to make a curio cabinet. Alright, there's the little bookshelf thingy. It was a little bit fiddly, and I had to put a little bit of glue in certain spots. And I've decided I do want to paint these little spines different colors. So I've got some green, some red, some black, and then some gold. And so that would be perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and paint those, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, I tried painting that on camera, and that was tough because I had to get my face really, really close, and my hands were shaking a little bit. So I just went ahead and did it off camera, but I do think that looks so much better with those painted. All right, so now on to the next step, which is step 12, going to be assembling a camera. All right, I had to let my phone charge up, my camera battery charge up. So while it was charging, I put a few things together. So here's a little camera. That little camera, that's where we left off, that little step. Then this little book holder. It's got one of the origami books on it. And then this little violin stand. And then I put this piece together, which is another, it's still pretty, hold on, let me get that fixed. There we go, it just had to snap back into place. So I got this little corner bookshelf put together. It was not too hard because these were not separate pieces. All of, like the phone and the owl and the books and the plant, those were all already on there. They were all one big piece. I just had to put all these little pieces together. So now I need to finish this little area, this little corner bookshelves. There's a spot for some things on top, and we got to do a little bit more to the front. So we are on step 17, and this is what it will look like when it's all done. The next step is making these little picture frames. So we've got this, and then I'm going to cut this out, and I can't really tell what that's a picture of. I thought at first it was the Last Supper, but I'm not sure about that now. And then we've got this one that goes with this little frame here. So this is, call it PVC, and it says to tear off the protective film on both sides and then paste it onto the doors and windows. That's satisfying. And they all fell out of there. Okay, let me see. Okay, here's this piece I need. So now I got to figure out. Okay, there we go. And then you got to glue it to the back, like this one goes to the back of this one. And then I've got a door and another small door, a door or window. Got this and this. So let me do this and then I'll bring you back. All right, so now we're on to step 21, and that is creating the storefront, it looks like. So let me get you back up on the tripod and we will try to get this put together. It's not hard, it's taking me longer than they said it would, but I'm just kind of slow, I guess. I'm trying to be very careful, especially after that one mistake I made. Okay, we are getting down to the wire here. We're getting close to being done with this project. It's time to start assembling all of these bits and pieces that I've been putting together all day. So this is the floor of the little store, and the directions say to install step 6 first, which step 6 was the bookcase, and it goes, where does it go? It goes right in the middle. All right, I don't even know if I'm in frame while I'm doing this, so I'm gonna go ahead and get all these pieces on here, and then I'll bring you back and show you. It's really hard to do this and stay in frame in the camera because I have to get so close to my face so that I can actually see what I'm doing. These pieces are, I mean, they're fairly fragile, so you have to be kind of careful. So let me get all these pieces on here, and I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like. But we're getting down to the finish line here. All right, there we go. The door opens. You can see in. It's still a little flimsy because it's not completely finished being put together. But there's all the pieces for this step installed. All right, let me see what I do next. Okay, the next step is to create the wall that goes on this side. So I've got this piece, which is A2, and then you have to put all of these pieces on there. sides on, the floor and the side walls. So that's cool. It's coming together. All right, what did we do next? Oh, we got to do something with the touch panel. This dude here. So let me see. We need some things. Let me get my ingredients. I was going to say my ingredients, my pieces together, and then we'll do this next bit here. So this step, this is the ceiling, the roof, and I have to install the light on here. It says to bend it like, this is the little light bulb, bend it like this, and then I have to use these little hooply dooplies. I hope you can see what I'm doing. This is very challenging. Okay. I think the hardest part about this whole thing is making sure you guys can see. So this goes, I think I'm going to start it in there and then, well, no, I can't do that. It won't fit. This is, oh, these tiny little things. Goodness. All right, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Let me figure this out and I'll bring you back when I've got it figured out. All right, that was a bit challenging. It took me quite a while to fiddle around with it and figure it out, but I got it in there, and there's actually a on-off button here at the top. You can see the light shining in there. So that's pretty cool. So now I have to work on the back panel, and there's another picture frame that needs to be glued on, and this is like a little door handle, because this is where you hide the battery pack back here, and it goes on like that. So I'll bring you back when I've got the back put on it. All right, I am finally down to the final step. This is what it's looking like. I just have to put the face on the door, on the store now. This is turning out so cute, and I'm really enjoying it. It's taking me a lot longer than what they said it was supposed to, but I'm just having a blast. This is so much fun. All right, the last step is I have to cut this little piece of brown paper out. I wondered what this was for. I was like, what is this little piece for? And now it makes sense, because what I'm going to do, here's the face of the store, and in order to see the title or the name of the store, you put this behind it. So I've got to glue that there, and then I've got one more piece of the PVC. Okay, we got that. That has to be glued here, because that's the store window, and then we attach it to the front of the building. going to give this a few minutes to dry, and then I'm going to attach it, and I will show you the finished product. It's all done, and I'm going to find a spot out here on my bookshelf. Alright guys, I'm going to give my review on this Book Nook craft kit. It was so much fun to put together. There were times when I have to admit I was quite frustrated because it took me a while to figure out the instructions, but once I figured out what they were doing, it was a lot easier. The pieces were fairly easy to pop out using that little tool that they provided, and that was another learning curve, learning how to do that. I had to use glue quite a bit more than I thought I was going to have to, but the instructions did say that if the pieces didn't stay tightly snapped together to use some glue, so that wasn't a big deal. And it did take me a lot longer than 4 hours, but like I said, I was being very careful. I was going slow. I had several interruptions, and so it took me a good half a day. It took me a good half a day to do this project. I am in love with this new hobby. I've already told Travis that I would like another one of these for either my birthday or for Mother's Day. A bigger set. They sell all different sizes of sets of these, and I would just love to be able to put them all throughout my bookshelves down here in my little library. I think they add interest, and I am just really in love with how this looks, the detail of it, and it was just a lot of fun to put together. So I highly recommend that if you enjoy working with the miniatures, that you give these little kits a try. Like I said earlier, I got mine off of Amazon, but you can order them directly from thebooknook.com. I think is what the website. I will put that in the description box below. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I know this was a little bit of a different video. I know that you guys enjoy watching me craft, and this was a craft. It just was mainly assembling. I told Olivia it was kind of like an adult version of Legos, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very, very much. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Have a great weekend, and we will see you all next week. Have a good weekend, friends. Bye-bye.